Alright, so first of all, this video is hella late. My bad. Second, I need you guys to remember that this video is my top 10 animes of the decade. Not yours, not God's, mine. That means that we will most likely have radically different lists, and that's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way. Maybe some of the titles on my top 10 are series that you've never heard of before, and you check one out and you end up loving it. Who knows? Anyway, the goal of this video is not to say that my taste is in any way superior, I just wanted to share 10 series that really stood out to me over the past decade. Also, if you're one of those people who is already bebopping down to my comment section to leave a, actually, 2019 wasn't the end of the decade comment, let me save you the trouble, because contrary to all these modern-day amateur horologist assertions that the decade doesn't end until 2021, most modern civilization follows the Gregorian calendar, which dictates that yes, in fact, the previous decade was January 2010 through December 2019, and we are presently in a new decade. Alright, glad we got that out of the way. That being said, it was actually somewhat difficult for me to put this list together because I guess the previous decade and the one that just ended kind of just melted together in my memory. So I had to do a lot of double checking to make sure that I wasn't putting shows on this list that actually came out prior to 2010. That sounds easy in theory, but I don't think you realize just how old some of your current favorites are. It was definitely a wake-up call for me. Anyway, like I said before, these are going to be just a few of my personal favorites. At the end of the video, I will be mentioning some titles that I didn't get the chance to watch or finish this past year or over the decade, but I feel like they might have made the list otherwise. This might clear up some inevitable confusion as to why certain titles aren't on this list. Alright, let's get started. Number 10. Darling in the Franxx. What can I say? Darleyfra scratched an itch this decade that Gurren Lagann scratched for me last decade. It's got cute girls, mechs, fan service, and lovable side characters. Do I love the cringy way that they have to pilot the mechs? No. Do I still love the show? Yes. Also, 02 is best girl, and I am not accepting constructive criticism at this time, thank you. Number 9. Akuma No Riddle, aka Riddle Story of Devil. Okay, something that some of you may not know about me, but will quickly come to realize as we progress further through this list, is that I have a thing for Battle Royale or Hunger Games style fight to the death stories. I mean, Battle Royale, like the live-action movie, is literally my favorite movie of all time. So, it will come as no surprise that some of my favorite anime of the decade will also follow this pattern. Akuma no Riddle is going to be the first example. Do you like cute anime girls? Do you like cute anime girls who like cute anime girls? Do you like watching cute anime girls who like cute anime girls fighting to the death? Then Akuma no Riddle is for you. I can't even tell you who the best girl is because they're almost all best girls. 10 out of 10, would recommend. Number 8. Deadman Wonderland. Alright, here we go. The one that makes me the big sad. And not because the plot was particularly moving or emotional or anything, just because Deadman Wonderland will go down in history as the one that got away. If you want to, you can look into what happened with this series, but I won't bore you in this video with the details. All you need to know is that this show paved the way for a lot of shows like it that would follow, and it ended tragically short of its proper release. Aside from the fairly generic milquetoast protagonist, the ideas and characters in Deadman Wonderland really captivated me and made me want to see more. As a teenager, I even went as far as to create a Deadman Wonderland OC. For me to be willing to shut off my self-regulating cringe meter in order to do something like that, you know I had to be dedicated. Number 7. Kakigori. Now, while I definitely pronounced the title wrong, I don't really have a point of reference for how the rest of the general public reacted to this show. Because unlike a lot of popular or semi-popular series, I never see anyone talking about it. It's, in the loosest of terms, basically a sports anime, but the sport is gambling. The animation style is absolutely gorgeous, and the gambling plots of every episode are exciting and never lost my interest. Granted, I'm not usually one to enjoy shows with over-the-top reactions to mundane things. Looking at you too, Food Wars. But even the characters' grotesque or even downright risque reactions to the outcomes of the wagers wasn't enough to make me stop loving the show. The stakes feel genuinely high, and there's actually a surprising amount of tension. If you haven't already, I recommend checking this one out. Number 6, Mirai Nikki, aka Future Diary. Alright, here we go. The first one that I feel confidently is going to garner me some eye rolls. But let me explain myself before you judge me for loving this dumpster fire of an anime. I love battle royales. That's it. That's my explanation. And Future Diary was my first real exposure to a true battle royale style anime series. So between that, the gimmick of the diaries themselves, and the inclusions of a yandere character, yeah, I was sold as soon as I saw it all those years ago. Number 5. Shokugeki no Soma, aka Food Wars. And speaking of Food Wars, some of you might be surprised that this one made my list. I mean, I don't know why you would be surprised, but you just might be, I don't know. But I do genuinely love this show, even if it is a little over the top and the reactions to the food by the judges do make my skin crawl just a little bit. Like kakigori, I would actually very loosely put Food Wars in the sports anime category, simply for the reason that it follows an extremely close formula plot-wise to most popular sports-related anime. But for me, the cast of characters and seeing how their different cooking specialties come into play is a super fun and engaging experience. Also, Rindo is best girl, and I am again not taking criticism at this time. Thank you. Number 4. Magical Girl Raising Project. Well, here we go again. Another cute anime girl battle royale anime. When I told you that I had a pattern, this is what I meant. But Magical Girl Raising Project is one of the most underrated magical girl animes that I've honestly ever seen. It has all those twisted dark elements of Puella Magi Madoka Magica, but cranked up to an 11 and thrown into a battle royale format. The art style is adorable, the battles and powers are brutal, and almost every girl is best girl. Except Calamity Mary, she is most definitely worst girl. Anyway, if you even remotely enjoyed Madoka Magica, I highly recommend giving Magical Girl Raising Project a try. I will ride or die for this series. End of story. Number 3. Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia. Okay, we're at the part of the show where the audience begins to split into 2 categories. The side that isn't blinded by copious amounts of nostalgia bias and can admit that newer media can be and is frequently better than previously released franchises. And the side that is about to start complaining that I'm including quote-unquote newer shows like My Hero on my top 10 of the decade because they don't want to admit that some of their older favorites might be objectively inferior to newer series. With that out of the way, I want to make it clear that I have a ton of reasons why I love My Hero Academia, and none of them have anything to do with the fact that it was recently released and is currently ongoing. My Hero has some of the most dynamic characters, some of the best fight scenes, and one of the best soundtracks that I've seen in years. I absolutely have my issues with the show, and by no means would I consider it to be perfect, but I confidently feel that My Hero is genuinely the Naruto or Bleach of this decade. I think people will be watching it as their gateway anime for years and years to come, and I think that it will ultimately be a lot of people's first anime watching experience. It has something for everyone and honestly feels like one of the only shows that I feel strongly doesn't deserve to be considered overrated. Number 2. Kimetsu no Yaiba or Demon Slayer. And keeping with the theme of animes that people will either love or complain about due to their relative newness is Demon Slayer. I know that the people who groaned about My Hero are going to be groaning about this one too, so you might as well get it out of your system now. I unapologetically put Demon Slayer this high on my list because, well, I love the show. That's it. I could go into singing the praises about how Tanjiro is literally the best and purest shonen protagonist that I've seen in years, or how Nezuko is arguably the cutest younger sister character literally to ever exist. I could go on for hours talking about its amazing and dynamic fight sequences, or the absolute banger of a theme song. I could honestly list dozens of reasons why this show connected with me, but in the end, all I really need to say is that I love it. Honestly, from the first episode that I watched, I thought, this is something special. And that's what this show is to me. Something special. Number 1. ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. Now, I know that there have probably been some shocking entries on this list. A lot of people probably would have thought my tastes are significantly different than they are. But at the end of the day, I'm just a girl who's a sucker for a good fantasy story. Granted, isekais have become somewhat of an overdone meme over the past decade, and I don't really see that trend stopping anytime in the near future, but to me, ReZero was just different. I can't really articulate it the way that I want to, but for some reason this series really is just levels above anything else that I've seen for these past 10 years. It's not particularly special in the sense of the story, and it's not all that original or unique. But for me, it's the way that ReZero handles all these common isekai tropes, and the way that they develop their story and characters that just puts it in a different category to me. One of the things that I love about ReZero is the way that it blatantly calls out how unrealistic a lot of isekai and anime tropes are, and gives its characters more realistic reactions to the ridiculous situations that they find themselves in. I wouldn't dare to say that ReZero is revolutionary in any way, or that on a technical level that it deserves to be on top of everyone's top 10 lists, But this list is my top 10 list, and this show is my number 1. So let me just close by saying that Krush is best girl, I'm not open to criticism at this time, and I'm super excited to see what this series has to come. Now for the honorable mentions. The Promised Neverland, Vinland Saga, and The Rising of the Shield Hero are all series that I either started and didn't get to finish, or series that I haven't had the chance to watch yet but feel strongly that I'll like them when I do. The Promised Neverland in particular has already caught my attention with the first few episodes, and I wish I had gotten to see more of it sooner. Also worth mentioning is that there were tons of other series that I absolutely adored this past decade, like Carol and Tuesday, Devilman Crybaby, One Punch Man, and probably hundreds of others. This decade was a great decade for anime, and I'm super excited to see more from both existing franchises and series that have yet to be released. Let me know in the comments if any of these shows made it into your top 10 of the decade. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a lovely day!